Welcome back, everyone. RFK Refugees podcast. Ted here. Jon also here. We are back. We are live. Not live. We're not live. We're not streaming today.
We're the opposite of live.
Doing the old recorded podcast. Sorry, folks. We're gonna. I think we have some plans for the live shows, so stick around to maybe hear more about that. Jon, how you doing, my friend? How was your week been? It's been a minute since we've talked.
It has been. I have enjoyed some good soccer in the interim. Let's see what happened. I got sick this weekend. That was unpleasant. Mm-hmm. But I think this week I'm solo dadding this week, so hence no live show. I've had to wait for a small child to go to sleep, which is takes longer than I think. And then after this, I still get to go make lunches and snacks and make beds and whatnot. So yeah, no, this is the life. Solo dad life is something. But yeah, I'm ready. This summer is sort of winding up. We got 2 more weeks till school starts, and then the routine starts, and then we're locked in. Then you're just living over and over again. What about you?
Is that what school? I've been doing the home ownership life.
More
stained my outside deck.
Nice.
All the tasks that you got to do. It was supposed to be a week-long vacation. Wife's new job came about, and so we couldn't take the full vacation. So it was a couple days at the beach, about 4 days, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, well, Saturday night, but yeah, basically 3 days. But 3 days at the beach and then back here, and decided the weather was actually semi-decent. It wasn't oppressively hot, and it was cool enough to get a task that I needed to get done since I bought my house. So that was my role. And then I then went to see the Black Keys play at the Allianz Amphitheater in Richmond. Have you had a chance to check that out yet for a concert? You're a big music guy, I know.
I am a big music guy.
Yes, but
how were the Black Keys?
They were good. They were good.
Who opened for him?
What's that?
Who opened for him?
It was Eddie Ninevolt. Apparently was who opened for him. Also came out and did one of their songs on stage. No, they're a good band. It's a band I've loved. They were, we were trying to remember what they were a gift from my wife. We were trying to remember whether it was Christmas or birthday. They very close, my career, both Christmas and my birthday. We couldn't, I think we settled on it was birthday. So
fun fact about the Black Keys, they had to fire their managers because their managers booked them on like an arena tour, and then no one bought tickets. So like, oh, we're no longer arena big now. We're like large club amphitheater big, but we had to set a whole tour, and they had to cancel the whole tour, and then they had to redo it. The music's good. Like, I know you guys still want to see shows, but maybe not 20,000 of you in small, medium markets want to come see us anymore. So, but I'm glad that they rescheduled them. The show was good.
Yeah, they went out to the amphitheater. Was a good, nice little sold out performance, good vibe, good energy. It was a bit like they have obviously like the 2 songs I think like they're known for, which is like Little Black Submarines and Lonely Boy. And they went through the whole set, and I'm like, they will go out and like, they're not going to play it, right? They're going to play those 2 songs. Went through whole, didn't play, and
probably
then
encore, right?
And then they did the encore, and they came on and they played. That's Little Black Submarines is my favorite song, so that's good.
That whole album is kind of the peak. There would be the hipsters of my age and earlier would say Thick Freakness, and their first 2 albums are the good ones, and then after that all goes downhill. But I'm not one of those. I think their pop albums are the 2 that were pretty dang good.
Well, hopefully DC United isn't peaking right now, and then I hope not.
At this point, I hope this is not the peak
because things are pretty good, man. I gotta admit, I'm actually skipping the Richmond Kickers Forward Madison game to go with my dad to the DC United LAFC game. That's how much more positive I feel right now about it. Even though even the Kickers won this weekend apparently too when I wasn't there. So
Ted, in a freak circumstance, I will also be at that game. So we will accidentally convene upon the same area once again.
Yeah, I'm doing my dad's. I won't say how old my dad is, but it's a milestone type birthday.
55.
So no, go. I'm not saying. I'm not going to expose him like that on the regional podcast, regional
international,
podcast.
Global pod.
We do. I'm sure we have some international listeners.
Surely
I'm sure DC United Kingdom listens to us occasionally. All right, let's get into it, man. DC United 2-1. We got 2 games that we did not review. We're not going to rack our brains and try to go back and remember the game back at the 2-1 win over Toronto FC, but just to hit some highlights of that game. Obviously, penalty kick win, kind of a really good first half. I remember kind of reading you guys on the chat. I was with family, and you were lamenting about how well the team was playing. And my dad and I did actually watch like the first half at some point while we were on our vacation, and it seemed like it was all it was cracked up to be, just a team kind of picking things up, from the break. I think Houston Dynamo game was a little bit of obviously the hot weather, everything like that, and just kind of a performance. Obviously a PK and sort of an own goal, not necessarily the fruits of offensive firepower, but maybe some things that they're kind of picking up and some things they kind of took into the Nashville game. Obviously, I think maybe the bigger show was Sean Johnson coming up big in that game, probably one of the bigger highlights of that game.
Yeah. End of the match for me, I think.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people, just some nice saves. And he's proven to be he's proven to be a goalkeeper exactly what we need. Has he been top 11, best 11 caliber? No. Nah. He's had some moments.
He wouldn't even need to be, because even if he was, that would not make this team like a top 2 or 3 team in the East. So like you wouldn't, if it costs more money to get that, you wouldn't want to pay it. You, like, to your point, we got exactly the goal we need for.
Yeah. And we've gotten, he's had solid saves, solid moments, some shaky moments, some moments maybe where he shows his age a little bit on a couple low shots or just a couple other moments, but otherwise he's been fairly solid,
dependable. Knock on wood, he's been healthy this whole season. So
yeah, dependable. Knock on wood, please. Knock on wood.
I just did.
The drop off is a little bit big. Yeah, I'm not sure much else we really can recall in our brains about that game, and I think the Nashville game is a little more fresh. Yeah. Any other moments we want to call? Obviously, the PK call. Toronto very upset about the PK call. I didn't really understand it. It seemed pretty cut and dry.
It does seem. I don't. Was it like the fans or the team themselves were frustrated?
Might have been the fans. Might have been a little bit of that. But I recall them being very frustrated that it was not a penalty kick. And I'm like, pretty cut and dry, gentlemen. I'm not sure. Really, you can have any other argument that it wasn't a PK. Couple of moments. Yeah. Other than that, let's talk DC Nashville. Let's talk the game that I took a bunch of notes on, trying to be a professional, trying to get some, and I might have taken too far notes when I start doing notes by like the minute.
We've all been there. It's okay.
We've all been there. Let's talk first half. Scoreline very, very rough, but I don't know, man. Like, watching this game back, the XG didn't like show it. I think it, like, the halftime stats on the XG was like 0.18 DC, but I kind of thought DC looked, in my mind, to be a little bit of the better side in that first half.
It's certainly, we've been down 2-0 on certainly worse occasions. The penalty came out of nowhere. It was a penalty. Brendan Cervania did have his hand out in a unnatural position, or even in a natural position, but there was, no one had any qualms with that. And the second goal was a slight bit of breakdown, but for the most part, those were sort of if you look at the like, not even just the XG graph, but like the momentum graph, like those were the aberrations for the half, rather than it was like all Nashville all the time and they were always going to score a couple goals. It was, as I think that Renee said at halftime, is like, don't lose your mind here. Don't run crazy. It's good. The game is going to come back to you. He was right. Like it was not something where they were getting run into the ground and it was a matter of like, set your hair on fire to get back in this game. Like, it'll come to you. You have this game. And he was right. And but to your point, yes, down 2-0, but not in a way that makes you think we're going to lose 5-0. That was never a concern at halftime. Yeah.
I thought personally in the first half, some of my standouts, honestly, was João Peglow and Luis Munteanu. I thought they finally, particularly from Luis, I feel like he's starting maybe to recognize. He still will take the occasional, like, he'll see an opening, he'll see a shot from outside the 18 and he'll want to take it. I don't know. I feel like maybe
I think he's not learned that. I think he is. Everything is outside the 18. It looks like a big spicy meatball to him. Not less than the second half. He got a little bit like someone maybe yelled at him.
I feel like Renee is saying them, look, man, just if you can just make two, like, for every like shot you take from outside the 18, you have to make like two like nice link up plays to tie Paribo. And, yes. And I think there's a little bit less of that. There's a little more idea of like trying to find that open man. We'll get to his assist maybe a little bit in the second half. And I thought Peglow also had probably one of his best games this year. Just the link up play that he was doing and with Karakawa. He had a couple of nice, kind of really good moments where I believe he found Luis out on an outlet pass, and Luis actually crossed it right into Paribo to try to find him. So again, just trying to look for a little bit of those motions. I think there was I saw a little bit more in this game of Luis kind of dropping back into the midfield to kind of find the game a little bit and allowing Paribo to kind of stay a little bit more up top, which I think was something early in the season, I thought was kind of a problem. It's like, who's the link up, forward here? Is it Luis? Is it Ty Brivo? So
he did that a bit in Toronto and gave the ball up in his own half of the field a couple times. It's like, just dude, stay up there. Just like, if it's not coming to you, it's okay. We've got other guys. Stay up there, please.
Yeah,
it's not your talent.
I don't know. I thought this game he looked a little better. There were certainly
some
moments.
Back as far. I don't think if you look at his heat map, he wasn't spending as much time back.
Yeah, trying to think of like anything other specific things. Obviously, we talk about I guess the only real like negative I had from this game was Brendan Cervania. We'll get to that in a little bit. The second goal that they give up, he gets completely just turned around by Hani Mukhtar. Like Hani Mukhtar kind of does like the little like run out and then just like spins around and just basically blows past Cervania on that front, leads to the pass. Kind of an unfortunate, not necessarily, certainly a defensive breakdown, but not a super bad defensive breakdown. They get the first block on the shot, and then it just kind of falls right to his feet. They kind of reset, and he passes it through. But yeah, Cervania may be the one down spot. Also, Dozell didn't really do much for me in this game. So those were kind of like my main sort of takeaways, I guess, as far as negative. But other than that, there really wasn't a whole lot to this game. I think DC came in and played a pretty effective style against the Nashville team. You're not going to control the game against them. They didn't try to. They tried to play kind of back into a 4-4-2 block, almost a 4-3-3 block, kind of with Peglow kind of pushed a little higher.
To that. So. He admitted to it. Jason Anderson asked him that in the post game, and he did go the 4-3-3 when they had Ordaz out on the right hand side towards the end. And it was asked, was that intentional? And is this something we can hope to see going forward? And he said, I would have liked to have done it before, but I did not have Ordaz on the team. I did not have the players to do it. So now I do. So we'll see.
And it's interesting, though, Ordaz actually, I think, was more playing on the left side. He was more on the left side.
I just meant up in the front three.
Yeah. Peglow had kind of shifted in a little more centrally, and it sort of played a little more central. So, yeah, very sort of interesting look from this team. I want to give you a chance to talk. Like anything specifically, I guess you wanted to.
I thought Dozell was actually pretty good. I've been pleased. I thought he had more of a stamp on the game in his first game at Houston. He was more all over the place. He was more sort of, I think, trying to put more of an off, based on the way the game was going. I think was having to make more forward passes, maybe, and the rest of the team wasn't being as dangerous, so he was having to do a little bit more of that. So I was pretty pleased with him. Brendan Cervania had a bad first half, did not last too much longer into the second half, made about halfway through there. Luis, I do want to talk about his assist just from the standpoint of, I do think that maybe he is learning that he does not have to take every shot. We gave him like this big, first Rene Wilder gave him a huge, like, hey, he's new here, leave him alone. It's going to take a long time. And it took him a while, and then he got comfortable. And then when he would get on the field, he would shoot every opportunity. Anytime he touched the ball, he would shoot. And then we would say, yeah, he's just trying to prove himself, like prove his like worth in this side. And I feel like he's there now. And he had, I think, I don't have the stats in front of me. He created 3 chances. That's good. And the assist, we'll talk about that. He probably had like 5 shots, and one of them was almost a goal. Like one of them was stung in the bottom left corner. I feel like it's 5. It could be 3. Either way, I really do wish he could stifle that impulse that's running through his brain. Because if he creates 3 chances a game, Ty's going to score at least one of them. And that's good enough for me. Like, however, the $8 million or whatever, forget about that now at this point. Your goals will come anyway. But I would much rather him be dangerous with the pass than with the shot, because it's become predictable at this point. And I think it kills attacks. And it also, when things are going bad, your forwards are like, bro, like no one told you to do this. There was a couple opportunities he had to pass it. I'm trying to remember the opportunity. There's a player rushing in on the right wing, wide open, and he took a shot and went wide, and Ty was like 2 hands yelling at him, and he was like, what? I had the opportunity.
That was, I think, early on in the game, and I think he got a little bit like, okay, maybe I need to start actually trying to.
This was in fact pretty bad. I probably should have passed that.
Yeah,
but then he scored. Hey, he has probably the assist of the year, at least so far for DC United. On his butt. The little that we did have a question. Let's I guess what was interesting. Another thing, sort of interesting takeaway. I guess I watched this game. I don't know if I've really noticed is how much this team is really trying to utilize set plays, whether it's throw-ins, corner kicks,
they throw both Rawls and Bartlett up the field. And then even when they like miss, like usually like you see teams that throw their center backs up, and then as soon as it doesn't come off, it's like, okay, get back. This team is like, no, we're going to like play like almost like we're going to use the set play as kind of our like half court press.
Yeah.
Where we're just going to try to win the ball back. And then, literally Bartlett starts running back up the field to try to see if he can win a header. So just, I'm sure they've been doing that all season, but I guess I kind of just actually noticed it in this game. There was like a moment where Bartlett started to kind of run back, and then DC won the ball, and then he fired back up the field, literally to try to see if he could win it. I think he even played across it at one point.
It's because they think, and they usually do, win the second ball. So they'll retrieve the clearance from whatever team they're playing. They will have a player from the midfield on sort of each, I don't know what sector of the field that is, but like outside the 18 on the corners, they'll have midfielders there. That's where the clearance will usually go. It will not get to midfield, and they will win that and then get another opportunity. It happens almost every time. I do think, as far as their set pieces go, I do not think Kurokawa's service on corner kicks has been that good. He gets a lot of opportunities, and I don't know that there's any other left-footed players that they can have to serve that in. And I also think that it's probably because he's not of any sort of value in the box on a corner kick. But I did notice that there were quite a few wanting, like no opportunities generated from kicks, just no chance given to anybody else to do something. So just noting that.
I think Kurokawa had a rough couple of games this week. I think he got, Houston was a rough game. He's also having to be out there a lot.
It'd be great if we had some sort of sub player that we could give him an opportunity to rest once in a while.
Yeah, but apparently, Connor Antley not even making the bench for this game. A lot of players not making the bench. Kane Clark banished to the Shadowlands. We'll get in a little bit more about him. Sibley B1 asks, what was up with the ultra long VAR review of the Hefty goal? By the way, hilarious that Renee didn't even know that Hefty was the one who scored.
That was wild. So that it was Mario Amaya was going through wanted to walk through the process. Hefty scored on that opportunity. There was a big VAR. He's like, Hefty. He's like, yeah. And then Mario was like, didn't he? Am I losing it? Like, no, I'm pretty sure it was him. And he's like, I didn't know he scored. So that was funny. I did it. That was the highlight of the press conference.
And the question is, what was up with the ultra long VAR review of the Hefty goal? I've been trying to figure that out. I think the broadcast seemed to cue into that Hopkins was kind of offside, I guess, on the Luis Munteanu header. I think the initial flag has to go up when the assistant puts up his flag for Munteanu, who is drifted offside because he thinks the ball went off. I believe Bartlett was the one challenging for the header. I think the ball actually goes off Nahar, which negates then the offside because you can't be directly offside because it goes back to the corner kick. I think that's the initial call. I think the reason we were seeing when they were looking at the review, I think they said, okay, we think that went off Nahar. So, essentially, Munteanu's fine. Let's check over with Hopkins, and Hopkins is clearly still onside on that play. And then, then there's the goal. Then there's a shot by Hefty, no one in the way. Very clear goal. So I think that's the reason for the long review. I think there was a lot they were trying to figure out. Maybe also check for foul on the keeper. I don't think there was any foul on the keeper. Kind of a poor play from Schwacke, I think it is, on the clear. It's just not getting a lot of pace sort of behind the ball. So I think that's what the needs. And I think Simply one says, how are we feeling about Dozel's first few starts? Fill a need? Is he an upgrade? I would say so. Maybe as a linking player. I wasn't really high on him on this game. I maybe need to pay more attention. I want to maybe get Peglow out there because sometimes I feel like with both Dozel and Cervenia, I can't really tell who I'm watching. Like when they face front, they both have dark hair. They're both far away. They're both not, I kind of almost want to get
some contrast.
Peglow out there. Yeah. So, I mean, there hasn't been, I guess the sort of the big moment we had with Houston was the long pass. I don't know. You've been kind of more high on Dozel. What are you sort of seeing from him?
The real question for me is, what is the configuration that makes sense? There's another question in here, I'm sure, about why Peglow can't start a match. And who is he duplicative of? Is he duplicative of Cervenia or is it more of Dozel's game? And I don't know. I don't know why they can't play together. We see that basically when this team is chasing, that's when you get Dozel and Hefty out there. Or not Hefty, I'm sorry. Matty out there. So I guess he thinks that is not the best defensive configuration, because that's how it happened each time now, and it is always Cervania for Matty. That's the switch at the end of the game. So I don't know. He's pretty stubborn about game state. Like, he really wants to make sure that this team is not blown out before they can come back in, and this team has a good habit of sort of coming back into the game so far this season. So I don't know. I don't know that I agree with that. I don't know that you and I would have said Matty is a defensive weak point for this team all year long. We had said that he'd probably been one of the better players on the team. So it is confusing, but it has happened now enough times where it's not just rotation. It's not just the opponent. This is what he sees and thinks.
Yeah. And I guess I do not know the reason.
Don't you dare ask him again, because he'll say,
I
don't like talking about players.
He does not like doing that. I don't understand it. I look at when Matty came into this game, the second goal, he creates that. He makes an excellent timed challenge to win the ball back, recovers it, able to sort of then find, I think he finds Baribo kind of out there, who then finds Luis Munteanu, who again does the incredible sort of scorpion type kick over to Baribo for the goal. I don't, for life of me, don't understand it. I feel like having Peltl in there, who's definitely more of a guy who's going to cover a lot of ground and be that kind of midfield destroyer, would actually help Dozel a lot. Cervania is not that type of player who he's very much a little more of a controlled type player. Maybe that's what you talked about, sort of like the game state. It's like, I want to use him in a situation when I know that we need to maybe have that kind of, pressure that we need to build, that kind of, because he does come from a situation where DC was looking to play kind of a fast sort of like pressing style. And it's very clearly like Rene wants to play a more pragmatism. Yeah. Pragmatic. There we go. Type style. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if this I think this was sort of Cervania's first performance where you're like, yeah, he was like probably the weakest player out there on the field. His inability to kind of contain Hani Mukhtar really led to the second goal, which could have put this game, under severe amounts of pressure. He gives it the PK, unfair to him a little bit. I personally think calls like handling like that should not be a penalty kick. I just feel like you're just giving, it's just not a situation at this point that I think you really need to be giving. At this point in this game, it just like turns a nothing chance into a high XG chance, and it's bad. But, he does give it the PK. I'll be curious. We have a break now. We have the Leagues Cup break, which DC is not participating in, boycotting for the second year.
Guess what? I'm not going to watch much of
Leagues Cup.
Probably Leagues Cup. Probably not going to be into that.
The games, MLS versus Liga MX opponents are always kind of fun. And now some of the games are in Mexico. So there's now
well, that does change it up a little bit. It makes it more of like an actual tournament.
That's exactly. Good. So instead of like a little showcase tournament. So yeah, there'll be some games in Mexico. I know DC's boycotting it again, man.
We are.
We'll see
by principle.
By the way, DC after this win, according to MLS Scoregami, 60% chance of making the playoffs.
What? That's wild. Don't make your bets on this, folks. That is some tricky numbers. With
the toughest, I don't know where they stand now as sort of the remaining strength of schedule, but they do have apparently the toughest strength of schedule. So something to talk
I believe it. I think the front end was pretty easy. Obviously, Montreal is the curveball that we're going to start with once the break ends. But
yeah. But let's talk other news. Unless anything else you want to talk about with this DC game, I think
we're happy.
We're happy. I think it's great to have. Also, want to mention, great to have Kai Rolls back.
Yes,
definitely an improvement as far as like just kind of keep getting this team moving. I think it's been a case of why these past two games they've looked better is when he's been out there. Having Bartlett and
Sean
Nealis out there, basically the same type of player. And so you need that kind of passing type center back.
And one's really rusty.
Yeah, true, because he's not getting playing time. So, yeah, but I think a good overall performance. All right, let's talk about we talked about this a little bit on the show. Kamito Nono being the new signing from Kashima Antlers, the right back / right midfielder coming into the team. Apparently a fairly like creative right back. Let's talk about this in case, a player I thought who again has had kind of just these kind of solid performances. Definitely been like, I think the Moneyball signing of the season has been hefty. You bring in this other player who's a little bit of more of a speedy type, right? Kind of more of a Karakawa on the right side. what do you make your overall thoughts on the signing? I think there's been a lot of people that say, like, why are we making this signing? I have come to the conclusion that you kind of did need to fill that right back depth. Yeah. Sure, you want to talk about Connor Antley. Like,
you've got another half of the season to go here, and this poor man, this poor Austrian, Swiss man, wherever he's from, you can't do this to him. You can't. You already did it through the hottest part of the summer. You get another month of it to go. You have to leave some tread on his tires so that he is not a complete mess of a player if this team does get into the playoffs or if this team gets close. You have to have a reasonable facsimile of a starter player to get in there. And Connor Antley is clearly not that, according to Randy Weiler. So this is, I think, you don't need to worry about, like, did we need to make the signing? He fills two positions, which we both need. Right, you can have both of them in the side and have no problems. You have no player on the right side that you cannot displace because they're the best player in the team, so that's not a concern. And this is like the most probably, if you look at this lineup, other than how we have been saying before, our creative 10, like, there's no other place on the field where you're like, we needed that more. Like, we absolutely need that more. This is a wise choice because it preserves the legs on the player who's had a great season so far, and it gives you some versatility to maybe play them both at the same time if need be. Also, probably needs an opportunity to, get integrated into the team. It's not like he's just going to hit the ground running full speed. I will be unlikely.
Yeah, he is a right-footed right back, so he's going to be playing crosses in. Has like 9 goals from that right back position, so he is a guy who wants to push forward.
Another guy shooting from far.
Yeah, taking shots. So I think it'll be. He's still waiting for his P1 visa. My guess is he will have it once the team takes the field against Montreal.
We're very good at that now. Well, I don't think we've talked about it. Or I don't know. You talked about the 3 international spots open that we apparently have.
Yeah, that was the big thing, because we were making these international signings and we're like, wait a minute, like, we're full up on international spots, right? Like, apparently the team has secured green cards for Matty Peltola, Kai Rolls, and João Peglow.
I don't remember who the third player was. Was it Peglow?
It's be João Peglow. So they have now 2 open international roster slots.
Great.
Which, I mean, fantastic, man, because, I mean, you talk about the international slots that teams have had to trade for, going for about $300,000 in GAM. I think it was all pretty much assured that this team had to make those changes. Apparently, according to the ops, and they haven't made an announcement that these teams have a green card. I think we will get the roster drop that will come out, and we'll see kind of whether that's true. But according to comms and according to what I believe Jason Anderson kind of worked out, was that the team has a bunch of available international slots, which is a very good thing. Yeah, I'm high. I think basically we've seen how Karakawa has really settled in, played well. I think this player has a potential to play well. It looks like an option. You talk about giving yourself flexibility. I looked at this team. You've got an option here where you can play potentially now like a 3-5-2, and that could potentially open up a spot in the center to where maybe you can push Karakawa. We saw Peglow shift more centrally. Could you maybe look to that? Could you look to maybe having Hopkins do there and kind of give yourself a little more of a link into the attack with a more offensive-minded player? Could you go out and get that number 10, and then suddenly you're able to kind of like shift a player in centrally to kind of build kind of around your 2 attackers? So, I want
to make sure. I think Jose Umano was actually the first person to get confirmation from the team about that, and Jason confirmed it later. So I want to make sure that we give him the credit there. But it is funny, like, everyone was making these assumptions based on incorrect stats because it's secret, because it's not disclosed. I guess maybe they were waiting until they got it all done to be able to announce it. Maybe they were like in a status of non-compliance until I bet if you tell the league, like, it's in process, the paperwork's with the State Department, we're getting it done, they probably give you a little bit more like compliance variance. I would assume. Maybe they don't, but it seems like they must.
Yeah, and I think the rules changed. I think you had to have it. I think also the reason why you haven't heard much about it, because I think the rules have changed where it was like you had to have it by a certain point to get the international slot back. Like, if you didn't have it by like the start of like the transfer window or something like that, that's why you had teams making announcements about it. Now I think what you have is basically almost as like you can do it whenever. Like, whenever you get it there, you get that international slot back. So yeah, good on the team for paying the money to get it done. So
absolutely. It sounds like this is about it. I know that the good doctor was on a podcast on I want to get the name. Do you know Black
Capital,
and Rojo?
the Capital City Soccer Show, I think is what it is.
I believe that's correct. And he did a live show at the Screaming Eagles tailgate and basically was like, don't expect a DP coming in. We have one more player, and this was before No was announced. So, like, I think there was a rumor percolating about a River Plate. Was it River Plate player?
Yeah, Ian Sir.
But he's not. He's going to Tigres. He's on a loan
not
somewhere
Tigres.
else.
He's going in Argentina on loan. Apparently, I believe
Tigre
is the team. Yes, not Tigres, the Mexican team. So on loan.
Whoops, egg on my face. But Camille Castillo, he teased a young signing. We signed another homegrown Camille Castillo, which I got to tell you, like, until we have a place to play these players, I have no feelings about these making these signings. Like, Oscar Aviles gets an opportunity to go to the MLS Next Pro All-Star game, scores 2 goals. That's great. I've never seen him, and I don't know when I'll ever get a chance to see him play a game. I was like, let me go see. I want to care. I want to see Grant Laval play for the MLS Next team, but I can't, so I don't care until they do.
Yeah. I
guess it's good.
I look at some of these players that are 16, 17, I don't know how useful it is to be, what are they, would they be good enough to even make a roster? Obviously, yes, you would want them on maybe your MLS. That's where the MLS Next Pro team comes in handy, because maybe you would throw them out there. Who cares, win, lose, just get them out there, get some professional experience. But I do think maybe it's good to have them sort of around the top level team, to have them training, and they can kind of build from there. And then you kind of reach a point where it's like, okay, they need to go and, they need to get some experience. So we'll see. Oscar Aviles getting some good signings. I think there's a chance Oscar Aviles, if he maybe from that game or from that appearance, that this team gets an offer for him before he even sets foot on DC United. I could see that absolutely happen.
He's made a couple game day roster. Camille Castillo made a game day roster.
Yeah, that's definitely the we're putting you out here. So
don't even bring your cleats. Just bring yourself. You're just going to hang out over here. Don't worry, you're not going to play. You're just here to watch.
It's just to say he can make an appearance. Yeah, just to get him around the team. You've seen that happen. That happens occasionally in some games. But as far as the transfer window, if this is it, curious, like, what would you give a grade if this is it?
B+. B. I'll give it a B. I don't give it a B+. I'll give it a B. They didn't make the team substantially better. They just didn't allow themselves to get rid of 2 starting players and not do anything about it. Like, the team needed players as a necessity of players falling out of favor with the coach, rather than like, we've got our 11 from the start of the season. How do we improve it? It's like, well, there's holes in our boat. We got to fill the holes in this boat. And then they did. So I'll give them credit for not doing that. That gives them a B.
Yeah, I got to give them like a C-. I'm disappointed. Obviously, this team has not filled one of their other like slot, either a U22 or a DP. I feel like that had to be. This team promised us they were going to have 3 DPs. They're not that, and I can't give it like a passing. I can't give it a good passing grade. I do like some of the talent we got in. I think Ordaz looks pretty promising. I'm not. Maybe not so high. And again, I haven't, I've kind of had to watch the highlights of him. Obviously he has an assist, which is good, and obviously too, you talked earlier, man, you were like, oh yeah, the Salvadorians don't care. They're not going to show up.
Well, it was El Salvadorian night. So
true. Let's see how it is. Let's see how it is next week. But I do think there is some pull that happens when an El Salvadorian national team player comes in. So
it was hopping. It was listening to the game on TV, sold out, whatever. Maybe not, but it sounded fantastic. The atmosphere sounded great.
And these types of results are what can bring fans back in and can bring people back in, especially if you're trying to get off trying to build fan bases and try to bring some people back. So John Sabatis, I think I got that right. Hopefully I did. Is there any rhyme or reason to the MLS schedule? Why did DC start half a week later than many MLS teams? Play 2 games in 4 days, get a week off, and then has another week with a Wednesday game coming up. I think it is. They played a lot of games before the World Cup break. Who knows why that is? It just kind of worked out that way. It is obviously the Leagues Cup break is coming in here. It's a little funky with how that's all doing, and that's not a tournament everyone participates in anymore. I don't know. you have to talk to MLS. They really want to make this Leagues Cup thing work. They're trying to make it more of a legitimate tournament, moving games to Mexico. What it is. I don't know what to tell you. Brandon Zerban says, can you talk about the Loud and Friendly this weekend? What do you anticipate seeing from DC?
Gabe Segal's debut for the club. We're going to see one ankle out there. Is he still listed as injury? He's still listed. He is still listed as out. But maybe they could like wheel him out there just to make a throw. I mean, it should be. It should be a game. I mean, Loudon. It's I think it's first home win of the season this weekend, so that's great. Really like this. Do you think there'll be more fans at this game or against like? I'm trying to think of the other Capital Cup entrees, and not like the notable African teams where there's like a diaspora that sort of like.
Okay.
I'm talking about like Real Betis. I was the game I went to where there had to be like 600 to 800 people in the stands because like why? What do you think? How many people are going to show up to this?
Yeah, I don't think I think it's going to be about the same. I don't think
1,500.
Yeah, it's not going to be a whole lot there. Game's not even going to be broadcast, right? No, there's no way to watch it. I'm guessing probably.
You bet. You got to be there to see it. You got to go get a ticket.
This looks like, I mean, obviously, I think there is a season ticket obligation that the team has to fill to have a certain number of friendly type matches. And so obviously they wanted the Ethiopia match to fill that. Obviously, everything going on in the world right now wasn't going to happen. I don't think there's much we're going to learn from this game. And then Bear Witness.
You're going to get some debuts, I believe. There may be no MLS Next Pro team, but there is this game that you can go buy a ticket and watch.
Yeah, if you want to see the future, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Bear Witness says, has anyone done a wellness check on Clark? Yeah, man. I think King Clark is done. I will actually not be surprised. I think there is a non-zero chance he is potentially contract terminated before we get out of this window.
You think so?
Yeah, I think this is his last season, right? And then he's a free agent. I believe maybe there's an option year remaining on his contract, but I think he's gone.
I just wanted to see it the last time you posted on Instagram. That's always a good that's your wellness check. He's posted once a month, one in June, once in July. He's not a big poster, that's for sure. I don't. Do you think you see him in this Loudon game?
Maybe.
You think they're like, well, we need a body, might as well play.
Yeah, probably could see him get out there. But
that's this is the game where you see the player, you see the Indonesian Messi, you see the who's the guy, the Italian coach son that was
Mancini,
Andrea Mancini. These are the type of games you see those players. The type where no official stats are kept. So I think you might see him here before he makes his swan song and watch he scores a hat trick, but no one will see it.
And then I believe we got another question. I did not catch the person, but I feel like this is something we should talk about. This is from Slide Tackle 84. Any thoughts on Larry Berg, the next MLS commissioner? Yes, Don Garber is sailing into the western winds, going away. He is going to the undying lands and a purgatory of sports commissioners.
That dude beat cancer twice and lasted in this job for like a quarter of a century. It's bananas. That's a thing. Whatever you think of him.
Look, like, whatever you think of him. And here's the thing. Yes. All sports commissioners are terrible. They all sit there doing the bidding of the owners. They are the person that is out in front.
Job.
Their job is to shield the owners. Their job is to do all of the things to protect their shield. But my goodness, like I say this, like, I don't think you can actually think of, like, if you think purely from when he came in to what MLS was when he came in, where they had 10 teams.
It was contracting.
Literally ready to fold the league. And then what he has been able to do as commissioner that has brought this league now to 30 teams, to every single team coming up in the next couple of years is going to have, what we'll call a favorable stadium situation. No more Revs at Gillette Stadium. No more NYCFC at Yankee Stadium. That took a little bit too long to get done, or Citi Field or Red Bull Arena, wherever they've been sort of going around in the different markets, but having their own, bona fide stadiums. I mean, you can't deny that he has been an effective leader. I do think we have reached the point where it's time to shepherd in. We're talking about major changes. Apparently the Athletic coming out, there's going to be sort of major changes to the roster structure leading into the 27-28 season. Difficult to know like what Larry Berg will be. Obviously he was a part owner of LAFC. Apparently seen as kind of the more like, we're just like, we need to just continue this growth, like a more moderate person, but apparently does maybe have some ideas about maybe loosening the purse strings. He does come from a team in LAFC that wants to spend money.
This is not like a sporting Kansas City minority owner that's coming to become this is a big market that's going to say, at least LAFC should get to spend some more money. That's sort of my position on the matter.
Yeah, he's going to apparently divest his interest in LAFC to be the owner. I think obviously this is an important moment that the league's heading into. They're heading into the calendar change, obviously happening. We're going to have the sprint season, talking about different changes, potentially positive changes to how the league is going to be structured. So any thoughts? I don't know, man. It's going to be, and again, I sometimes feel like sometimes we overplay a little bit some like what commissioners do. It all comes down to what the owners vote. I think there is a growing facet of MLS owners that are ready to start to open up the purse strings. Are Jason Levian and in that group? I don't know, man. They spend what, $20 million They spend a lot of money.
But as soon as you open the floodgates, $20 million it was already in a global sense not very much money. If you allow Miami to put their pedal to the metal, $20 million is going to be nothing, like just literally nothing. So I bet they're not. As Inter Miami, I believe, is about to get Kevin De Bruyne somehow on their roster is the latest thing.
The biggest thing obviously is going to be, will there be a change to where teams, I feel like the biggest draw, we talk about like when this league like came back and like the biggest highlight became the like own goal that like Inter Miami suffered. And that is because this has been such a top heavy league for so long that you can't have a designated player defender. The teams have had it and they've maybe been successful, but like, it's like, you just can't do it because you need those big money positions for like your attackers, because that's where you need to spend the money in if you want to be successful. And so I think maybe changing this into a little more well-rounded league makes you more competitive with Liga MX, which is what you want. It could potentially push it. I don't think we're ever going to get rid of the salary cap. I think I'll be curious to see where, we're going to have a ceiling or a floor. I think that's going to be the next big change coming. And can that improve around the edges to where suddenly it is a fun and more well-rounded league than kind of sort of the top-heavy behemoth that we see right now?
What if you made a rule where you're allowed to you can have as many designated players as you want on your team, but for every DP that you add, you lose 3 roster spots? So theoretically, you could have a team of like 11 DPs and then like 3 children, and like you have to just hope that these DPs are like, they're not 45 years old. These are prime DPs that could play every. That's the risk. Like, and say if you can't field the team, then you lose. Like that's the danger. Some sort of like, I imagine if they wanted to make it sort of more watchable TV and from week to week, like someone gets thrown into a shark pit. You can have as many DPs as you want, but there's a cost.
Yeah.
You see Reed Baker Whiting had like 2-inch shorts on. You wouldn't have seen this if you're just watching the highlights of that game. But when he came on, former Seattle Sounders player, he came on with like the hoochiest hoochie shorts of all time. They show him on there. I was like, does he roll them up? Is he doing like the girls used to do when I was in like high school when they were playing soccer and roll them up 5 times? That was what it was looking like. These young kids today.
All right. Well, that's
21 years old. He's a young guy.
It's going to do it for all of our regular questions and all of our the free show. We do have a Patreon show coming up on the second half where if you can join at the $5 level. We get into some questions, get into some maybe a little bit more detail. So there's a good opportunity. We had a bunch of people throw a bunch of questions at us on Patreon several times.
So you're telling me this is about to be a very long second segment? So you're telling me?
I think we're gonna we covered some of this on the free show, so I think we can kind of cover that. But yeah, if you're listening on the free version, we thank you so much for listening.
That's right. $5 for the forbidden knowledge that only gets unleashed on the Patreon show.
And then if you're listening on the $5 level, just stick around. We got the Patreon shows coming up. So free show, vamos. Thank you so much for listening. Patreon show, stick around.